What's going on, guys? Welcome to Steve Does Stuff. I'm Steve, and today we're doing some more 1JZ Foxbody stuff. So in the last video, gave you guys kind of an overview of where the car came from, the state it's in, and my overall plans with it. With that out of the way, it's time to start picking away at some of the things that I can do. Now for 1JZ, I'm in way over my head. I've never really messed with a standalone before. I have definitely never messed with a 1JZ. So there's a couple things I'm picking away with a buddy of mine who knows a ton about this stuff, doing some troubleshooting and trying to get the cold start working, get it, responding normally so we can tune it so it can be safe. While that's going on in the background, the one thing I can do is shake down a car and figure out what looks right, what is right, get it in the air and kind of go over it. So in this video, I'm gonna be jacking this thing up. We're gonna crawl underneath it, do a full inspection front to back. I'm kind of at a standstill for like the motor and tuning right now. And I know once that's working, all I'm gonna wanna do is drive this thing. So I'm gonna take the time now, give it a good visual once over and see what's going on underneath this. So without any further ado, let's get this baby up on the stands. Okay, so that took probably much longer than it should have, but anytime you're messing around with a new car you're not familiar with, I just like to take it nice and easy because I don't want to put the jack through the floor, I don't want to put an axle stand through the floor, and I don't want to die. So seems, I don't know, if you don't like it, well, you can kick rocks, sir. Anywho, the Fox is in the air. Now it's time to start kind of going over it. I really don't know what the front suspension is. I don't know how the ball joints are. I don't know anything. So step one, after we give it a shake, maybe give her a little, yeah, okay, that's good. Just see what's going on here. The wheel bearing seems not too bad. Up and down, it's pretty tight. You can see this is the amount I'm moving it, and this is what the wheel is doing. Oh, I'd say that's pretty good and tight. So now that I got this thing up in the air, my goal is to go over it front to back, see if anything's leaking, anything's cracked, anything's excessively rusty, kind of point a few things out, make a mental list, and then I'm definitely gonna go back with some rust converter and try and convert, maybe give it a little scrape, all of the rust that I can find along the way. So let's take a look. Coming around the other side, I already popped some things off and wanted to see what it is we're dealing with here. So looking in front suspension, we got a lot of things going on here. This, definitely no way this is the stock lower control arm. I know that, even though I'm no Mustang guy. We got QA1 tie rod extensions, but I'm not sure what arm this is. I don't know if this is like a drift kit for it. Obviously it's been converted to coilovers. These are either strange shocks or QA1s. We're gonna be taking a look at those in a moment. Somebody's done a really great job of trying to cut the top hat of that spring out, so that's nifty. But all Heim joint ends here. As far as this knuckle, I have no idea. Looks stock, doesn't look like it's been cut for angle or anything like that. What's that say? Moog problem solver. Okay, so could be SN95 stuff. Yeah, it's really hard to say. So QA1 tie rod extensions, some sort of Moog lower arm, may or may not be longer. Everything looks good under here, not really. Again, too much rust. That looks like an Odyssey downpipe or something. There's our little turbski up there. No obvious leaks from the front cover of the 1J, which is sweet. It's not a BMW, which is pretty sweet, not gonna lie. An Odyssey downpipe, not sure what that is. Rust repair would have gone on up in here. Let's take a look at it from the back side. It all looks legit in here. Like, I don't see any real rust, which is pretty gangster. Hey, we got a straight rad support. That's pretty rare for Fox bodies, as far as I understand, which I understand very little. So another piece of work that was done on this was the, I guess the A-pillar right here. So what the hinges bolt to, That was also all cut out, rust repaired. Now, I don't know if that is necessarily contributing to the door sag, but it's something that's gonna need to be addressed. Again, all surface rust through here, no real rot, except for maybe right there, but yeah, we're not gonna pay attention to that. This is the major hole. So this is passenger side, I guess, trans tunnel footwell. There was some sort of hole here that, well, somebody tried to fix it, and I mean, I give them an A for their arts and crafts. I would say a C- for execution. Coming over here, another piece here. I don't know what this is, like GB weld or whatever it is hard. A little bit of flaking over here along some of these seams. Okay, so taking a look at front of the motor where the 1J is mounted, it looks like they were able to reuse the factory K-member. Obviously it's kind of cut and chopped around the oil pan. The swap life, nothing will ever fit. And I was like, how bad could it be? And then I saw this fucking oil drain bolt. What the fuck? Really nice and tight there. That's a super cool spot for the drain plug. I'm sure I'm really gonna love getting oil everywhere. A little further back, this is the Collins adapter. Further back, Z32. Again, not a BMW, so it's not leaking, which is really bottling up my mind here. So this is the custom trans mount by Mitchy Speed Shop. He's the guy who originally did this swap for the original owner way back. And then we just got a bunch of these real fun like wires hanging all over the place. I don't know if this is a digital speed sensor. We got one a little further up here that, like, God knows what that does. But a decent trans mount. I can't see anything like pulling out, separating, or anything. It's rusty because Buddy let it sit outside, but I don't want to hear you Southern States gentlemen. Here, this looks like a lug nut that's holding that chassis mounted shifter in place. I'm not in love with that, especially because it's just kind of flopping around, so there's no real shifter support. So we might have to come back to that at a later date. There's not a ton of room here with that drive shaft, so we're just gonna have to wait and see what's going on there, but it is what it is. Again, overall, this thing is not bad. Like, keep in mind it's sat outside for a year, and it's a 89 Foxbody, Canada car. But I mean, she's minty. It looks like at one point it actually was undercoated, which is probably what saved this dang thing. Mean looking muffler too. So this is the Mitchy Speed Shop handiwork. Nice V-band. I believe it's a 3-inch. Down out to a 3.5 at the back. So we come all the way up. Loop-de-loop. Nice hanger on the trans. Nice little pie cuts here. Like really nice little pipe there. Not bad. Big flex here, all my YouTube success. Was finally able to afford a creeper. Never used a creeper before though, so moving up in the world from rolling around on cardboard. News on the driver's side outer footwell is slightly better, but not really. It looks like somebody was just mangling this poor pinch weld, which is really disappointing. Semi-serious rust around the frame or some of the seams. Not super worried about that. It's not structural yet, so I'm gonna kind of brush it off, convert it, paint it, moving on. As we keep moving our way back, these are another nice piece. VVTi subframe connectors that are welded. Tie this thing together. As I understand it, Foxbodies are basically made of noodles and hopes and dreams, so this goes a long way to help stiffen them up. As for the rust under here, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's there, but it's not bad for Ontario, man. That's a serious thing here. So let's make our way to the rear end a little bit more. Let's take these tires off, make it a little easier. So I got the wheels off the car. I know these wheels have been on the car for a while. I was really hoping they were powder coated. They're not. But the good news is I found that one nut that I was missing. The bad news is, based on this black paint here, on this purple caliper, I would say Buddy most likely sprayed them on the car, which is sick. Also looks like he spray bombed this, put it on with self tappers, which is, well, I don't even know they're self tappers, just put them on with screws. So that's super cool. Up in here, after that frame repair, well, it looks good. So, okay, they did just kind of go over the existing sheet here. I'm gonna spray some shit in between there so that does not become an issue. There's the horn, works, sick. Up in here, this door repair. Looks pretty good, looks pretty squirrely up in there. I'm gonna spray some rust converter up there. Rust converter down through here too. This is just from letting it sit outside. We're making a list. Most of it includes converting rust. Also just noticed this from when we were revving the car. Is it running, Rich? Well, that's Bill Gates for you right there. That's Oprah Rich. That is a bunch of soot coming out of the business end of this bad dog. So, oh, my little TRD sticker. So that's, should give you an idea of how well it's running. All right, so these have Maximum Motorsports anti-squat rear bars or lower control arms, which is pretty slick. I mean, these things are beefy on here. What are these springs? I have no idea. Limiter straps on here, which is nice. You know, back in here, this is our e-brake cable, which the e-brake does function. Rear of this car is like not super terrible for, again, a Fox in Canada. Torque boxes up here, they're crispy. I mean, there ain't no denying it's crispy, but I don't see a lot of decay in here. One thing that's definitely gonna have to be addressed is that nice little, I don't know, it's a brake line and it is leaking for sure. So nothing super exciting here. This is the Ford 8.8 inch center section. I have been told that these are SVO, I think they said 84 SVO axles, which you guys are gonna have to help me out on that one. I don't really know what that means. Take a look at the upper arms, all factory, all with the rubber mounts. So it's no wonder this thing is as quiet as it is. Making our way back here, God knows what kind of contraption that is. It's something to do with the tank, surely. But speaking of, got a couple nicks on it, but overall, not bad. Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with. These shocks are okay. So these are strange shocks. They're single adjustable. Not too bad. Okay, there's our other torque box. There's our arms, looking pretty good. Don't get killed by the car. I would say this is as rusty, if not better, than the E46. This is not terrible at all. I mean, yeah, look, there's bad stuff. Let's, you know, whatever. But this is salvageable. So what now? Well, I'm gonna put on my respirator. Let's start grinding. Let's start converting. Let's do some painting. That's as good a reason as I've ever thought of to have a montage. Whew. Okay. Oh my God, it stinks in here. Well, that was pretty serious. Scraped and converted basically all the rust that I could front to back. Didn't really find any surprises with the exception of one on the driver's side front torque box where the driver's side lower control arm connects. Little crispy in there. So something to keep in mind. Just spray the crap out of it and we'll see how it converts, paint it, and then, you know, kind of close our eyes and just go ahead and ignore that. Also did the bottoms of the doors. As you can see, they were a little crispy. So I don't know what this stuff does. It takes the rust and it converts it. I just don't know to what. Turns it black, basically. So you can kind of see it's gone to town on there, and that's gonna be good enough. Rockers themselves are in great shape. Everything under this seems pretty good. So now we just kind of gotta let it dry. There's only a few areas that I want to come back and do a second coat on, so I think for now that's gonna do it. We're gonna go back over it and paint it. Just keep on rocking. So specifically this one torque box back here was a little bit not as good as I was hoping for, but filled it full of rust converter and then just pumped it full of trim clad rust paint to just stop it from further degrading. Still solid, still have the rust checker 4000 in there, beating it up, but overall worked pretty well. Bottoms of the doors, again, like, hey, they're not perfect, but they sure as heck weren't before then. So I just kind of hit them with that non-color match Duplicolor. It's so low that nobody's really gonna see it, and it's gonna stop it from degrading further. So the car is back in its hibernation position. So after I ground all the rust off the car, I kind of went back over it and kind of just stopped filming. But essentially what I did is I went through with a wire wheel and a wire brush, brushed off all the loose material that I could from the rust. Then I just used this, you know, rust checker, rust converter, which is right here. Nothing special. The reason I used it is because I just had it. I didn't film it because, like, how much can you really watch somebody crawl around under a car and spray paint it? I was able to handle all of the issues. So the driver floor where there was a seam, the rear passenger piece where there was a little bit of rust showing, that torque box, under the doors, everything. In some of the spots that were the worst, I just used straight up trim clad gloss rust paint, which again, I used it because I had it. It's supposed to be good stuff, and I guess time will tell. What do you think, Opie? Don't point that thing at me, Scott. So I basically used what I had, and then we put it all back together. So while it wasn't super extensive, that is just peace of mind. My wife still parks her car in here, so there is like excessive humidity and excessive moisture. Now I know that, you know, any of the rust that's underneath this thing are kind of hiding around. Obviously, I didn't get all of it. Obviously, I could have used Pour 15. But I used the stuff I had, and anything that I did is going to be better than just letting this thing sit here and potentially degrade further, or if I'm driving it around and it gets a little wet, stopping the rust in its tracks from getting any worse. So what's next? Now, we did get a little squirrely, and I spent about, I want to say 3 hours compounding, polishing, waxing to get this thing to come back. This is the same paint. Very bad, very smooth. So while that's really tempting, and you know, when my buddy Rhett came over, we started going crazy on all of this stuff, I need to stop. I need to go about this logically, because if you're gonna do the wrong thing, do it the right way. My next priority is getting the 1J and the fuel tech set up properly. As it currently sits, it's not super happy. It'll start up, but there is something wacky going on here. There's something weird that is really not happy. There's no VVTi sensor, there's no oil pressure sensor. There is a map sensor, but there's like a little dial-a-boost thing in here, which is like, basically you just turn it and pray that your rods don't enter orbit. So I want none of that. I want a stock-ish, reliable 1JZ. So I got a wire and a Mac valve, I've got a couple pressure sensors, and I've got a buddy Jason coming down who I met through Rhett, knows the fuel techs in and out. And we're gonna go through this thing, get it starting reliably, get it working reliably, then do some street tunes and be able to use it. That is the priority before anything else should happen to this thing. Because if you're just polishing a turd that doesn't work, there's no point. Like, there is no point. I could wax this whole car, blow my brains out. But at this point in time, that's a really poor use of my time, which is very limited. So that's gonna do it for this episode of Steve Does Stuff for me and the 1JZ Foxbody. We've taken care of a little bit of the rust. Next time, we are focusing on trying to get this thing starting and running reliably. Thanks very much for watching, guys. See you next time.